Afternoon, everyone. So, good afternoon and welcome to the Friday, December 5th meeting of the Kansas African American Affairs Commission. We would like to start off with our roll call. Executive Director Nell, can you handle that for us, please?
Yes, Dr. Crystal Davis is not here. Dr. Trent Davis,
Here.
Angelyn Johnson,
Here.
Mark McCormick,
Here.
and Jade Ramsdell.
Here.
Okay.
Okay. We do have quorum established, so we will move forward with our meeting. We will start off with the approval of the minutes. Executive Director Nell provided those to us in advance of our meeting today. Are there any questions, notes, or any updates or corrections needed for the minutes? Okay, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, minutes have been approved. Okay, so we do have a public comment period and a planned visit from a Mr. Is it pronounced Lazan? Okay,
Lazone,
Mr.
or Lazan? Have I been saying it wrong the whole time?
It's Lizone.
Lazone.
Lazone. Okay, I'm very particular with names. I try to be respectful for my own challenges. So, Mr. Graves, we want to welcome you to our meeting today and wanted to give you opportunity to share more about a communication that you made to some of our members, to learn more about the work that you are engaged in and how you would like to see CAC perhaps be involved and engaged as well.
Well, can everyone hear me okay? Because I've been going in and out, and if I have to cut off my video, I can do that as well. I shared the email, the information, because there's an opportunity out here. Our organization takes advantage of opportunity. And we talk about the need for programs and training and things for our youth and adults, but definitely for our youth. And I try to help other organizations and people be aware of the opportunities that are available or are still available. Mostly we do a lot of work with those receiving cash assistance and are looking for work. So they are eligible for job training and some other opportunities that they have to do due to work requirements. The same thing as those are state funds with commingle of federal funds. And then there are those now with the SNAP food assistance who will also be required to participate, either be working 80 hours a month or they can be doing other activities like workforce training or job training, a combination of 80 hours a month. But the information that I sent here, those are state and federal funds too for SNAP. So SNAP is in the news about it. So it's more than just the food. It is also the upcoming work requirements. But more importantly is the information I had shared about the federal funds that are available for youth 16 to 24. That's under the Federal Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, which these federal funds have always flowed through workforce centers. And there's some state entity, a workforce board, that governs who is going to be an approved provider. So what I have done, I've always been a part of these policies or opportunities to provide job training, counseling, and there's other services that they pay for. There's been some changes on who's covering this area now, and I wanted to introduce these agencies to the CAAC in hopes of getting that information out to other organizations to see how can we create job training and a lot of that workforce type of program, especially if the money is sitting there. And there's some targets.
Mr.
Like,
Graves, before you continue on, I want to do a pause and a check because I'm not quite sure if everyone's aware. And plus, this is a public meeting as well, so others may watch the meeting and not be very clear on exactly who you are, what your organization is. So let's do a pause and let's do more of an introduction as to who you are, what your organization is. And also, I'm not sure, Stacy, does everyone have what he's already shared as far as what he's proposing? You are on mute.
I thought for a second, I thought he sent it to the entire commission, but I can just go check that right now. If push comes to shove.
Okay, if it has not already been shared or I could ask my fellow commissioners, are you already aware of what Mr. Graves is referring to and what he shared with the commission?
I'm familiar with Mr. Graves. We've worked together on some other projects, and I'm aware and admire his work.
Okay, so Mr. Graves, give me one moment just for some housekeeping, make sure we're on the same page. Stacey, if you can forward that information to all of the commissioners, so that way it's going to be real time, but they can be fully aware of what has been sent to us for consideration. And then, Mr. Graves, while we're catching up on that, can you share who you are, what organization you represent, and then go into the more details?
Okay, my name is Lazone Graves.
Thank
I guess you could say, the founder of IBSA Incorporated in Topeka. We're based in Topeka. I founded the organization in 1992, incorporated in 93, tax exempt in 95. And I did so because the way I was dropped off in Topeka, Kansas, I just see that there were things that need to be better done. I'm a second chance type of person, so I came from from prison to Topeka, and there really wasn't opportunities for me to choose from except maybe a handout here, some food here. I believe in empowerment. So I chose to, when I couldn't get a job, I started the corporation, and then we have been contracting with state welfare agencies and doing things in the community ever since. More importantly is I have information, I'm knowledgeable of being an advocate on those public funds and things that deals with the Black community, that there's some policies at the local and the state level that we need to be engaged in. So I use our organization as a vehicle to engage on getting policies looked at, supported, and also to try to help those policies be put in place that will help our businesses, our organizations, our young entrepreneurs, and our young people. There's a lot of organizations that we're getting paid to take care of us, but we have an educated population, and I think that we should start organizations and companies where we can start providing some of those things ourselves. And so if I find some information for business or for job training or anything, I'm going to try to share it, especially when there's opportunities, probably over the last 20 years, or definitely since Black Lives Matter, of saying that we need to have more culturally competent organizations providing some of the programs and services that we know our people are looking for and that they need. And so I want to try to help educate organizations and businesses in Kansas about the opportunities that exist. Uh, and this is one of them specifically because of all the places we do know that there is a need for more programs to help people, young people. And they say youth 16 to 24 on the flyer. If 24 is a youth, then consider me young. Just kidding. But often we don't know where these opportunities are. And when these federal funds, especially when there seems to be some uncertainty, are still available, I think that it's just sort of good to share this information and see how we can take advantage of what is still available in a better fashion. And so there wasn't any specific proposal from me. I wanted to introduce the KAAC to the body, this opportunity, and then maybe during a lunch and learn to really get it from the horse's mouth, for lack of better terms, the agencies that control the money, whereas making the partnerships with an organization here, and they can get young people in their neighborhood, their community, referred in for paid training, on the job training. There may be a program that some organization can provide that they can get paid to provide these programs in the neighborhood instead of people having to leave the neighborhood. But under these federal dollars, Workforce Investment Opportunity Act, there's also funds for adults. So I just want to try to get more of us, our organizations and businesses, aware of these opportunities that still exist, and to see how we can work together. One of the organizations that is contracted for Kansas youth, but they're not located in Kansas, Life Skills Connection, they have a subcontract where they pay for the services for youth 16 to 24, and they cover areas such as Riley County, Shawnee County, Gary County, Douglas County. So they have funds for these type of programs. But as they say, they have more youth looking for opportunity than they have organizations standing up and creating opportunity. And this is not just for nonprofit organizations. If there is a small, let's say a small Black business that's willing to provide some occupational skills training, job shadowing, mentorship, there's some opportunities of getting our youth plugged into those businesses, and so that we can start understanding about Kansas Workforce One, Life Skills Connection, and these federal funds that are available. With the uncertainty of Job Corps and AmeriCorps, these are exactly the type of programs that can be funded, so that if we wanted to create a trade skills program entry level for 16 to 21 or 21 to 24, these are the funds that would pay for their tuition, their transportation, their tools, their boots. And so by looking through the federal legislation, the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act is pretty much, that money is still good. It hasn't been attacked like some other policies. It has some ways, but in many instances, the money is still there. And so I can only speak as sort of a salesman to get the people who can really, the questions that you may have on how does an organization, get involved or sign up. That would really be the representatives from Kansas Workforce One and Life Skills Connection, who's more than willing to speak with you. Now, Kansas Workforce One, they cover over 70 counties in the state. Life Skills Connection, I think they only cover like 11 or 12. So this isn't just opportunity for Topeka or Junction City. There may be some African-American nonprofits or businesses in some of the other 70-some counties that could or should know about this information, because if the money is not spent, it could be clawed back by the federal government because it's not seen that it's being used. And so I'll stand for any questions right now that anyone may have.
Thank you, Mr. Graves. I see Commissioner McCormick has his hand raised.
I do. I wanted to emphasize the importance of what Lazone is saying. I've been writing about these programs for about 30 years. And the first time I wrote about them, it was in the aftermath of the LA riots. And there were these discussions in Congress about, hey, we need to give these kids some jobs and some opportunities to keep them from falling into these kind of riots, and maybe we could help the situation. But it was always done, in my estimation, in a dishonest way. That there was a pipeline coming from the government and there's a pipeline into the community, but there wasn't that connecting pipe that connected them both. So the money would run out, get clawed back, and it almost seemed like the intention was that it was never intended to actually reach the people who need it. What he's talking about is that elbow pipe between what's coming from the government and what's coming into the community. And that's really important because a lot of our people aren't following, the release of these kinds of funds, nor do they know how to access them. So also his point about needing, culturally astute people to be involved in this process is really important. And so I'd like to go on the record now is that if you need help with any of this, Lazone, yeah, you can consider me committed.
Okay.
Is there any other thoughts or feedback from any of our commissioners? And if we can let the record be noted, Executive Director Waddell, we have Commissioner Crystal Davis with us. Well, I will share. Thank you, Mr. Grace, for bringing this to our attention and sharing this information with us. As you were speaking, it reminded me of that we have a Job Corps initiative that is in flux, I believe, with everything that's happening in our federal space, but one that was specifically beneficial for Kansas that is caught in the challenges that we are currently experiencing. I will share that as a commission, earlier this fall, we did vote to have areas of priority. as far as the spaces that we would get engaged and involved in to support African Americans in the state. And one of our areas of focus is economic development. And how do we make sure that we are mindful and supportive and engaged in actions and activities that acknowledge the economic well-being of Black Kansans? So again, Mr. Graves, thank you for lifting and raising and bringing information to us. Please go ahead.
Yes, I would like to add, thanks to Brother McCormick, I was able to be a panel at the inaugural Urban League of Kansas event, inaugural summit. And I was trying to sort of speak to that we have different organizations that are icons like the Urban League, the NACP, and smaller organizations that could use some young person, 16 to 25, or an adult in their office 20, 30 hours a week. Where the policy comes in is that on one side, we're looking at the SNAP, and if people don't understand the SNAP debacle that is going on, from the shutdown to the delays to the work requirements, and when those dates on the work requirements start, supposedly on November 1st, but because there was a shutdown and the delay, things got rolled back. Now there's some trauma going on within it as well as some stuff. But by January 1st, anyone who was receiving food assistance or going to receive it are going to have to commit to those work requirements. And within the work requirements are job training. And so I want to see how we can work together and create the job training program that would be approved so that they don't have to leave the community to go to get the type of training that we do. There's some other things within, I guess they say, the big bill, the federal work requirements that what used to be exempt for work requirements were veterans, youth aging out of foster care, the homeless. Many of these people may fall into our agencies or on our doors and won't know where to go. And so when you pair that with after January 1st, those federal requirements of work requirements go into play. And that's really just a TANF, DCF type of a deal. And then pair it with the other federal dollars under the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, which is another side of the spectrum. I believe that we need to find a way of being training and service providers to both DCF because they have state money that they will spend for the very same thing, and be also the training and service providers under these federal funds. And how can we build the network from county to county or wherever our organizations are? We may have a program that may be able to be replicable in Wichita, and some organization in KCK may have a program that we may be able to replicate in Topeka. But we're working off of the same framework on making sure that they're not just getting occupational jobs or work experience cleaning dog kennels. They're actually working in our organizations, in our businesses, and learning some of those skills to be on time, how to give eye contact, and building up their resume. We got to step up for our businesses and organizations like other groups step up for theirs. And so this is an opportunity that we're going to take advantage of. And I will do anything possible working with Brother McCormick, because maybe an organization don't know how to build a job description, how to create a job for a 16-year-old or a 23-year-old. We have some very educated people. We can do this. So I'm going to end my rant and my spiel on that. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Graves. I see Commissioner Crystal Davis has her hand raised.
Thank you, Commissioner Chair, and good afternoon, everyone. Please excuse my tardiness. Hi, Mr. Graves. Good to see you again. I just wanted to add to your point that what you're saying obviously is spot on. And in my personal consulting firm, I'm working with a client who does in-home care. And she is prepping. We're working together to prep her business because she trains CNAs through her company to come work for her company. But now that Kansas workforce monies that are available, and we've been looking at it because I know it's $7,000 and then $2,000 just to get things organized and ready. So we started talking about it, and I was talking with my boss at Cloud County Community College, and she said, wow, Crystal, it would be great to partner with her and let us do the 20 hours of training that the CNAs have to have at Cloud.
Yeah.
And then they can come back to her and work. And let's look at how we expand that because Cloud County Community College just recently kind of upgraded their CNA program. So I'm saying I know exactly what you're talking about. And knowing that and becoming aware of that, trying to help at least one minority owned business, female in Junction City, get prepared in her business. Because right now she's doing the 20 hours of training and it's a lot, one person, seven people, each of them have to have 20 hours, all the things. So she meets all over Junction City and they like go through the test and go through it together. And Cloud was like, oh no, we already have that infrastructure. Send them over here. Let them get their 20 hours. They can come back to you. And then there'll be CNAs. And so really looking at expanding for her company, but then also helping Cloud be able to push these CNAs out into the community. So I understand what you're saying. It's perfect. I'm learning a ton. Helping this young lady, and I'm just trying to see how CJD Consulting Solutions could do the same thing. So thank you for being here. I missed it, but I'm on target with what you're doing, and I just want to provide that example of how my company is helping a small woman-owned business with CNAs in Junction City, Geary County, Kansas. So thank you, Mr. Grace.
And I think we're going to need a lot of that. The reason I wanted to bring it here is that the more you all as commissioners are educated, businesses and organizations in your community that may not be aware about this here. And I want to try to make the linkage to where you all have spoke with Kansas Workforce One and Life Skills Connection. So I'm not the middleman. You have the information, so you can make the direct link so that, the community college may get paid for some, but we want to make sure that she gets paid for some of that monies as well, because we can build a pipeline into formal training. It's not just getting them into the formal training. A preparatory course can be a paid pipeline into formal training that's available.
Thank you. Steve, you sounded really far away. I couldn't tell what you were saying.
Dave had asked a question in the comments.
Yeah, my question was surrounding what the name of the program or the grant is called at the federal level.
The federal level is the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. That's where
Okay.
the act comes in for the funding. And they
Perfect.
have requirements for youth and adults. And when you look at both of those, you're going to see our population flattered with all them numbers. And so there's the specific agencies who get the monies. That will be Kansas Workforce One, because they are the private industry for the Kansas Department of Commerce. And then they contract out these services to different entities. Life Skills Connection is a for-profit business outside of the state that won the contract inside of the state. But whoever gets that contract for the youth services, WIOA youth services, they have to make sure that all 11 or 14 of the eligible youth elements are made available. So our organization, we really just focus in on the entrepreneurial skills training for youth. Now, if they are in school youth, they can actually use the funds for youth that are 14-year-olds as well. You don't see that a lot, but looking at this here, so on that sheet there, they have job search, financial literacy, work experience, tutoring, mentoring. These are things in different areas of one of the 14 elements that any provider has to make available. We're probably one of the only organizations in the state under WIOA that provides the entrepreneurial skills training portion of it. That's money that's available. And so on that list there, you can sort of see you may specialize in GED and high school diploma completion. There's a contract for that. You may have a program for occupational skills training support. There's a contract for that. Or subcontract with somebody else. If we can figure this out to make sure that some of these federal dollars that's coming to our state is coming to our organizations and businesses as well, because most of the providers are outside of our communities and we are not running those agencies and businesses.
Thank you very much for that clarification. One thing that comes to mind as Lizone was very kind to kind of explain further is I work a lot with federal grant dollars, and that's why I kind of wanted to know what act it came from, because one of the biggest disconnects that I often see is with the jargon that's utilized in these. A lot of folks don't have time to go in and dive in and see what all the specifications are. So I see CAC as one of those bridges to layman's those terms and really highlight how the bridge to access is a lot more available than maybe folks realize. Kind of like it was referred to earlier. I think that oftentimes it's done. It appears as though it's done in such a way that limits access. And so for us to have the knowledge that we do and to have folks like Lazone come and speak to us, I think that we can help to build toolkits of some sort and provide education and better understanding about how to bridge folks into programs like this and make sure that those dollars are used within our state, within our communities to support the folks that we serve. So I very much appreciate you coming in and speaking on that further.
And I
That's a
want to
great point,
reiterate that
Jade. A
we're not
great point.
talking, I want to reiterate these, there are grants that are out there, but these aren't grants. This is where contracts and provider agreements come in. This is business, you know, for nonprofits and more for nonprofits than it is for for-profits. So the entry level into it is actually easy. I mean, if I can do it, y'all can do it, you know, and a lot of others can do it. But sometimes that fear of it's going to take a lot, or not knowing about it, or not knowing who to contact, sometimes that's diminishing us. And so I know you all have contacts across the state. There's nothing wrong with healthy competition. If y'all get more money for young people in your neighborhood, I have no problem with that. But for none of us getting any of the money, I cannot sleep well with that.
Mr. Grace, again, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to reach out to us to make sure that we were aware and to share your engagement in this space. Again, as I mentioned earlier, as a commission, we did engage in a vote to determine what areas do we want to focus in, what areas can we focus our efforts and our ability to mobilize and our resources to be able to help advance and support what's happening here in the state of Kansas with regards to being in the best interest of the Black community. And this falls absolutely in line. So I want to go ahead and close the public comment period to move forward with the business that we need to handle today too. But so the commission knows, and Mr. Grace, that you know, we do have you this conversation already listed in our new business for further conversation and potential decisions on how, if and how the commission KAAC can be involved.
All right,
So
thank
you're
you.
free to stay on until we get to that point of the conversation as well.
Well, I have a young person getting ready to come in, so I got to go.
Okay.
But thank you for your time.
Again, thank you for your time. Okay. We are going to close out our public comment period to move forward with the work of the commission for this month. I'll provide an update. The only update, well, I have a couple of updates. Wanted to say thank you to the commission for giving opportunity for us to have representation at the Kansas African American Museum's Trailblazers watch party or watch event that took place in Wichita with the show being aired throughout the state. I was able to attend, and as it always is, it was very informative to learn about more Kansans that have just done amazing things, both within and beyond the state of Kansas. So the Kansas African American Affairs Commission, we were represented, we were noted as one of the sponsors, and it was an event that had a good draw here in Wichita. And I hope that you all have had the opportunity to see it as it aired that same night. Additionally, I know after Stacy had sent out the minutes, I realized there were some updates to some documents from some previous conversations. So there have been some additional things added to our agenda to discuss and finalize too. So we will approach those in order. I'll turn it over to our executive director for her updates.
So we have a report that's due at the end of this year. First time we've done reports in the bylaws, not statute, but in the bylaws to do report. So I have compiled, and I think honestly, given that it's December 5th, I'm going to say no more new information. So if you have any information you want to send me, I'm going to cut it off because now, oh, can you not hear me? I'm sorry. Okay, is this better? Oh no. See, we always have this problem. So can you hear me now if I just get closer to the computer and talk? Okay. So we have a commission report that's due at the end of the year, end of the calendar year. And with it being December 5th, I think I'm going to say no more new information because now we need to work on getting everything edited, make sure it makes sense and get it into a form that is pretty. So I have a draft. Honestly, I sent it over to Mark McCormick because Mark actually is a writer and I am not. And so he is going to give it the once over and get it back to me by Tuesday of the commission report. Right now, it's broken down to a quarterly report. And if I remember correctly, it's just the work of the commission. Like I don't believe commissioners are necessarily, oh, I see Marcus raise his hand, so I'll let him talk, called out by name, but this is just what the commission has done. Mark, do you want to pop in?
I just wanted to say that with your agreement, Stacy, if people could get any updated information to you by the time the document reaches me, that's okay. Like if they could get it to you by Saturday or Sunday, I plan to have it done by Tuesday. So if they could get new information to you, by Sunday, I'd be willing to accept those.
Oh, I would say just cut out the middleman. If they have any new information, send it straight to you, right? Because all I would be doing is forwarding the email.
I'm okay with that as well.
Or if you send it to me, CC Mark, right? Like, because
Yeah,
at this point, the draft that I provided to you, Mark, is the draft that I have. Like I have a completed draft,
I
and
see.
that's what I sent over to you. So
I was just wanting to
I
point out, like, I just finished 3 days of panel training with the Leawood Police Department. That would be something that
mhm.
I'd want to add, but I wouldn't have had the opportunity to add it, up to this point.
Right, right. Well, then whatever you think is a reasonable cutoff date, because at some point we'll have to get it formatted into something that looks pretty. And if there are to be any printed copies, like there's an issue of there's turnaround time, and then of course we have holidays coming. So just keep those things in mind. Honestly, I don't know how many people are breathing down our necks for this thing. So if it's not done, except for the fact that we said it was going to be done before the end of the calendar year, so okay, let's get it done by the end of the calendar year. Um, yes.
Sunday
So,
works for me.
so neighbors, so I know I took the time to develop a tool that the commissioners could use to share a report on different events and activities and their engagements throughout the month. So I want to take this time to say thank you also to those who are utilizing that tool. And we do have some commissioners that have been very consistent in utilizing that tool to share their activities. At this juncture, and I know there's also different opinions of the usefulness of the tool. So at this juncture for the writers, those who are compiling information, so I guess that would be, well, really, Mark, for your benefit, since you're going to be the ultimate compiler, I can share with you the back end of what that tool is producing. Though I think Stacey has already turned that into what she may have already provided to
Yeah.
you. There is
Uh-huh.
still the option that anyone else that has additional information, myself included, I still need to update it myself for myself, can still utilize that tool to add additional information, which can be given to you. Again, there are different opinions on whether it's helpful or not. But I know you've seen it. I can show you the back end. It's just going to be a spreadsheet with everybody responding on the dates, the name of the event, their feedback on it, and how helpful it is or how aligned it is with the work of the commission as we framed it. I can share that with you if you feel that would be helpful for you. And then encourage everyone to still continue to respond by whatever date you say that you need it.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I'd also say, as an addendum to what Stacy was saying, that there may not be people breathing down our neck for this, but I also feel like it can immunize us from these kind of claims that we've had for years. You're not doing anything. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. This puts the onus on people to come to the website and look, as opposed to just complaining at a distance. So there is that.
So what I can do to assist is I'll send out, it's the same link that we all have already received, but for the sake of bringing this to completion, I'll send it out again immediately after this meeting, encouraging everyone to respond by Sunday. Mark, I think I heard you say. And that way, and then I'll send you the back end so you can pull right from it. Um, that way we can have a record. And I agree with you, Mark, that Commissioner McCormick, that we should be able to track our activities and substantiate our activities, and have that record. And it will help you to be able to craft the narrative to go for the final report. Okay, I see head nods and agreement, so I will put that on my to-do list and send that back out. If everybody can have it by midnight Sunday, completed.
You don't be up that long.
I just said by midnight.
And Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Davis, and I love the tool. Just a comment. It helps me stay organized and on time. And it of course I put it on my calendar. But I know I had a misunderstanding about one of the questions, and I know you and I had talked about how I was recording it and whatnot. But I just wanted to make a comment that has been very helpful for me. And then it made me start even putting in one area also on my calendar the day I'm going to do it. Like, don't forget to mention this and this and this, things that may have happened earlier in the month that I, don't want to forget to record on the report. So I love the tool and I'm going to continue to use it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that feedback. And also, and Mark, you'll see this too. It creates data, like it creates graphs and charts too, so that can be
Awesome.
helpful if you want to go that route.
You know what? The one question I did have, if you let me interject, um, and I haven't looked deeply enough into the file, but to Stacy's point about layout, are there photographs that we want to include in this as well?
I'll look to Stacy for the final vision of what the report looks like.
I was going to include maybe pictures of each of you. I was going to include pictures of each of you, but right, like what?
So you sound like robotic and really, really far away. It is random. I know we've experienced this before, some of our conversations. I don't know
You might
what's
have to
happening.
press your face on the screen.
Does it help if I cut off my audio of my visual? No. Okay, to the chat.
Okay. So Executive Director Nell is going to put some information in the chat. While she's doing that, well, this is her section, so we for her further updates as well. Okay, so she said she's going to include photos of each of us as individuals, but not a large spread of photos. If we have photos, and I'm already thinking about Commissioner Crystal Davis. I know there are some photos of some of the amazing work and activities and events that you've attended. Um, it should be a benefit, I would think, to be able to just include those in as added visual content. Stacy, can you try to come back on and see if we can hear you now?
Is this any better? Can you hear
You're
me?
a little louder, still kind of robotic. Let's see.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H,
Okay,
I,
we hear you.
J, K, L, M, N, O, P. Okay.
You do sing.
Yeah, I know. The word's gotten out.
Okay, we can hear you now.
Okay, that's fine.
So
Sorry, I can continue with my report or
well, the question was, would it be beneficial to have some action shots, some photos of the commissioners engaged in the community? Would you find that a benefit or would you not find that a benefit?
I mean, I don't think it would be a bad thing. I suppose I could get the pictures in there somehow. This first year that we're doing this, it's going to be a learning curve, right? And I'm not going to let good or finished be the enemy of I'm not going to let perfect be the enemy of good or finished. So to a certain extent, because this is not what I do as a living, and I'm just effectively working with the free Canva to do a layout of an annual report. And luckily, we have an award-winning writer on the commission to be able to say, hey, let me at least take a glance at the writing rather than letting it be all left up to me. If we're trying to get something too fancy, just remember that you're dealing with me and the free Canva account. So like I want to level set everyone's expectations about what this report may look like. I don't have KDHE money, right? I don't have the Department of Commerce's marketing department. It's pretty much me. So I will make it as pretty. I can make it as pretty as I can. Also, I kind of honestly wish we would have started this conversation in November rather than December 5th, being that there's other things going on. If you, I mean, you know, if Dr. Crystal has put in the chat that she has Canva Pro, which might have a little more accessibility and ease, like I've come up with a draft, like I even have a draft in Canva, right? Because I have started compiling this, knowing that this was going to be a large project. I have started this, but so that's what to extent. Let me. I had not planned on sharing this, but let me see if I can. Let me hang on. I'm going to Canva to see if I can just show you what is already there.
Okay.
One, I'm going. Uh,
And Stacey, as you're doing that, I'm actually not thinking it really has to be a very prolonged conversation. I think what I'm seeing with Commissioner Davis's sharing, she has Canva Pro that's acknowledging a willingness to be able to assist with some of the layout and formatting. I've seen what I suspect may be the same draft of content that Commissioner McCormick has. I don't think this is going to be a difficult ask. It's not that we're talking about chapters worth of pages or reports. It's a few pages with some gra additional graphics to be added with the support of Commissioner Crystal Davis. So unless there's, as far as the visual, the aesthetic of it, and we have the professional eye of Commissioner McCormick for the content development, I think it's a go to be able
yeah,
to frame that without a lot of further conversation on this topic, but you have support from commissioners to be able to develop it. And I don't think we have to see what's already there. We have content, we have images, we'll make it work. Understood and appreciated. So,
Got you. Thank you, Stacey.
yep, thank you. Did you want to continue with your update, Stacey?
okay, hang on. Too many screens. Hang on. I'm getting there.
Okay.
Your audio is a lot better now.
Okay. I'm leaning in. That's why I've got my camera off because I literally am like face into the camera at this point. All right, here's my major ask from the commission about legislative day. If each commissioner could sort of help me find two vendors, right? So we've got this idea of having a vendor fair, and we have spaces that if every commissioner did two vendors, that would be fantastic. Also, that would help us diversify the geographic awareness of it, right? If Dr. Crystal has two people coming from the Junction City, Manhattan area, and if Angeline's got people coming from Wichita, you know, and Jade finds two people in Topeka, like that would help diversify the geographicness of it rather than just me going on the people I know in my head, which is going to skew Johnson County and Wichita. That's the way it's going to skew. So primarily, definitely people who are not in those two areas, like Dr. Crystal, Jade, Dr. Trent. If you know businesses that are in other places with people who might be able to give a day to come and set up a booth to talk about the services they provide. Here is one huge caveat. I have since come to find out that we cannot sell things. People cannot sell things inside the Capitol, which I know, which is crazy to me because I swear I have purchased something from a vendor in the Capitol. Like it was candy. Like I know because I didn't have Venmo at the point and I had to call my husband to get him the Venmo to pay for it. So I know I have purchased something in the Capitol. However, this is one of those, I made the mistake of asking for permission.
Instead of for forgiveness.
Instead of asking for forgiveness. So because I have officially asked about that, I think if people showed up and we had, 20 vendors selling things, we would hear about, I would hear about that. But so that leaves me with, I was going to contact, for example, here in Topeka, Bree Markham does doula services. So she focuses on doula services. So like there are organizations that either are led by Black people or who focus on serving Black people. So it would be something like that. Like for example, okay, so the two that are on top of my mind are Bree with Topeka Doula Services and Dr. Charlotte Davis with the Kansas Birth Equity Network, right? So think about honestly, Lozone, last year, Lozone had a booth, right? So Lozone would be there. KAAAC, we have tabling materials, so KAAAC would have a table. Um, I would like to ask the ACLU to have a table only because they are doing all the work about the upcoming constitutional amendment. And so I think one of the things that we have got to do is get the word out about that. That falls under the voter engagement type situation because it's going to be on the ballot in the primary of 2026. And to my mind, it's not too early to start talking about it, just to start raising awareness that there is going to be a very important question on the primary ballot in 2026. That often falls through the cracks. So I would like to have the ACLU to have a table. There are a couple of organizations like that, but if you know of other organizations, the Topeka Doula Projects of the world, the Lazone Grays of Salina, Kansas. Like I don't know who that person is, who might be able to do a table. So that is my big ask, and I would really strongly please, oh my gosh, please, if you guys could provide me with vendors for the legislative day, that would be fantastic.
It seems like a light lift.
One would think.
And as far as questions for that will be posed by those who might not be familiar, or maybe this will be their first time going, like logistics questions. They don't need to bring anything except their materials. There's no cost. Do you have language? What time should they be there from what time to what time? Where's stipulations of things they can and can't do? Well, we know they can't charge, but just some language to be able to share um an extended invitation to that. Do you have that,
Yeah,
Stacy?
I don't have it. I mean, that's easy to type up. Like it would be,
Yeah.
10 to 2. They would have your standard 6 foot table with 2 chairs behind it. Yeah.
Yep.
Usually with a lot of these organizations, if I say, hey, there's tabling opportunities, that's pretty standard. It's your basic table with it's just a table. You have to bring your own tablecloth. I mean, I can indicate to that they would have to bring their own tablecloth. Strangely enough, there are outlets available, but I as CAC have tabled at so many events that I just literally have a bag of stuff that I can just pick up and go. So, but yes, I can definitely do a little request type flyer with my with
Th-
my with my free Canva account.
That would be great. If you can get that to us, then we can extend it to our respective networks and have them get in touch with you. And thank you, Commissioner McCormick, who has offered to reach out to Micah with ACLU. Um,
Yes.
and ideally a deadline of when we want to
Oh,
deadlines to
ideally,
respond.
that would have been November 15th. So just get those to me as quickly as you possibly can. Because I need to start making contact with those people. Invariably, there's always little stumbles here and there. So at the absolute quickly as you possibly can, that would be great. Um,
Stacey, though, I'm encouraging you to put a deadline on the flyer because as we're pushing it out, we know ideally yesterday,
Oh,
but
the
to
flyer. I can
out
get you the
maybe,
flyer. I'm gonna get you the
yeah,
flyer by Tuesday. Again, I'm taking Monday morning off because my daughter has a college visit that I'm going to go to, but I will definitely pay attention and get stuff done by Tuesday. I'm going to be walking around a campus on Monday, so I can't promise you anything on Monday, but I'll be looking at stuff over the weekend, so I will definitely get it. I mean, maybe I'll
so
just work on it on the weekend and get it out by Monday anyway.
that would be helpful. But what I'm encouraging on the flyer, have a deadline for the people that we're going to be giving the flyer to of when you want them to respond. So that way it's in their mind.
Oh, sure.
It's just a trigger to
Yes.
help.
That makes sense. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I did have a question. Thank you for getting out the save the date. That does, I hope everyone has seen that there is a save the date for Black Legislative Day that is out. It does state the state capitol. We are still going to be utilizing, and I'm not going to get into the way of Stacy's glory of giving all updates. We're still utilizing both spaces is the plan, but the flyer is worded just to be a set the date and to remind people of the general location of being at the Capitol. I did notice Community Voice is also a co-sponsor. Stacey, what role is the Community Voice going to have for the event?
Ultimately, and I had to just make a decision about this. Community Voice is going to handle the registration because working through the state, it is I'm just going to be very brief and say it is a hassle and a half for me to set up any kind of payment program to sell tickets to an event this small through the state. The community voice will handle the registration, honestly, in exchange for ad space, because they will run ads for this. That's kind of the thing. And quite frankly, the even if we sell 200 tickets at $15 a pop, it's not going to cover their ad space costs. And this event has never been a money-making event. At $15 a head, like I've already contacted the caterer and just said, hey, can you get us something for $15 a head? None of these events have ever been money-making. Every single thing has always lost money. So if we charge, the logic behind charging at all is just to get skin in the game. We know that if we do an event and we make it free, we will have 300 people say that they're going to come, which means I'll tell the caterer that we have 300 people and then only 150 people will show up. If we charge even a small amount, even if it's just $15, that's enough skin in the game that if people say they're going to come and they pay their $15, there's a much higher chance that it'll actually be an accurate head count for the sake of the caterer, really. In the years past, we've had much discussion about how much to charge. I know that at my mom's, anniversary banquet, they charge $50 a ticket. So to my mind, $15 is a steal at anything. I know KAAAC had their summit, they charged $25 to attend their summit. So again, $15 is a very nominal cost, but it helps to give a little more solid number of how many people to actually expect.
Okay. Okay, thank you for that. Are there any other questions for Stacy regarding the legislative day? I want to do a quick check-in. Technically, we have 8 minutes, but we are not even halfway through. So want to do a check-in on if commissioners can stay on for additional 15 minutes and okay.
15 tops.
Okay. And we'll be mindful of meeting, the completion of the meeting within that those additional 15 minutes. Okay, Stacy, you had additional updates?
Yeah, just a reminder that there are lunch and learns out there. And to back up a little bit to LaZone Gray's discussion, he and I have been having an email exchange. I'm already in contact with a woman. Her name is Deb Schiebler, I guess, from Kansas Workforce One. So we are working to set up a time to record a lunch and learn to talk about that program. So, but there are lunch and learns on the YouTube channel. You guys can go back and check them out. Some of them, actually, I think some of them are even kind of good. I'll even say so. But I am working to schedule a lunch and learn with the person from Kansas Workforce One. And then the last thing is just to update to say that I've started the ordering process for the KLC books for the sake of the commission for the KLC classes thing. So the books are going to be ordered. They'll be shipped to me, and then we'll figure out how I get them to you.
Okay. Thanks for that update. I did have a question about the lunch and learns. Stacy, if you could let us know the lunch and learns that are coming up so that we're aware and updated on what's coming. And also, there may be some contributions from some of the commissioners for being able to either speak or share or even identify individuals, organizations to be featured as well. So we can start to have more conversation about, since that's the one of the primary tools of how we communicate what's happening and what we're doing and getting information out. I think it's important to have the commissioners be able to be more involved and engaged in that too. And also being aware of which ones are already scheduled. And
Right
even
now,
with
right now, none are scheduled. I think I did lunch and learns for like 2 years, and the viewership was just so low that it almost was not a return on the amount of work that goes into it. So now I sort of do lunch and learns on an as needed basis for a better portion of 2 years. I did one every Monday at noon, and it was live, and I worked as hard as I could to get information out about that. And it was the return on investment was just too low. It was way too much work on my side, given the number of people who are actually watching. So now it's just more of if there's a very specific thing, like for example, this Kansas Workforce One thing that, yes, we'll talk about it. So yeah. The most recent one I did was on redistricting, and honestly, I didn't put a huge effort into pushing it because almost the day that I actually recorded it, they decided they weren't going to hold that they were not going to hold the special session on redistricting. So I was like, all right, well, I did that, but then they didn't do it. Yeah. Yes, I see in the chart that the chat that Dr. Christus is talking about how we might repurpose those past ones in 2026. I would point everyone to KAAC's Facebook page because Alvaro has been doing a wonderful job of repurposing those. He has recut some of them. The one with Giovanni talking about immunizations when that was in the news. And ahead of the most recent election, he did some recutting of the conversation with Secretary Scott Schwab. So we have been repurposing those past ones, and those are up on KAAC's Facebook page.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for those updates. Okay. Those were our executive director updates. Let's transition to our old business. Protocol for distributing slots in the KLC grant. So I did send a document to everyone with a drafted protocol. I did not get a chance. I know Commissioner Trent Davis, you and I said that we were going to work on this and it has slipped past us, but wanted to get something before the group since we have been awarded officially the KLC grant. So I'm not sure if everybody's had time to look at it. It was very recently sent. But if you have had a chance to look at it, open to conversation and feedback on what you all are thinking, as far as the initial framing of it, anything that's missing, anything that should be removed, level of comfort of moving forward. Commissioner McCormick? No? Okay. Now, Stacy, did you have a
Dr. Davis raised his hand.
Commissioner Davis? Trent Davis? You're on mute still. See?
Sorry, I surgery on my right shoulder, so I'm doing this with my left hand, which I'm not used to using the mouse on. I trouble hard to find those buttons. I looked through the KLC information fairly recently, and there's a reference to a code that we have to get, I guess, to cover the payment or pay the payment ourselves. And there's several course offerings. Is there one that we as a group are going to do, or we each choose a pathway of our liking?
Stacy, do you want me to respond?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't have the answer.
So my understanding is we have access to so it's a series of courses that build upon each other, and we have access to slots for the first two. Some of us have already done the trainings, or have done one of the first one, maybe the second one. It's up to us where we want to attend. We don't have to attend as a collective. It's based on our own availability and our own schedules. And then you would have started with the first session. The first session, the name has escaped me. And then
Everyone leads, I believe.
everyone. Okay, so
Yeah,
if you haven't done the trainings before, you would start there, select whatever date, locations work for you, and then the same for the second if you want to continue on with the second training. In the big picture, there is a third series, but that's not covered by us. But if you want to plug in more deeply to the KLC track on our own, we can continue on if we so chose.
Okay.
I did want to share, at least for me, when I went to register, Stacy, that $5 fee did populate and continue to populate. I just paid it. I mean, I'm not looking for reimbursement. I just covered it. But just FYI, I know that was not the intention and not what we were told would happen.
Yeah.
But at least as of a couple of weeks ago, it was still happening. But I just went ahead and paid it to be over it. So just FYI that I'm not sure everybody's tried to register more recently. Is that still the case?
Well, I tried right before the meeting, but what I don't have is the participation code, which I've looked at the PowerPoint presentation. So I don't know who
Sure,
I
I'm pretty sure I
request.
emailed that out to you. I'll email it out again.
Okay, I see it on the screen. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Crystal Davis. Okay. Any other thoughts, questions, or feedback on the process for enrolling? Okay, so in addition, we stated that we have a total of 40 slots available. So the remaining slots that we as commissioners or staff would not use, we said that we would make available to the public, and we would frame some sort of a process for that. There were suggestions, but what I did is crafted a general framing of how we can disperse them. In previous conversations, we talked about allocating for each commissioner so many spots. We could do that, but I think that's an added level of something that's not really necessary. We all have the opportunity to encourage those in our respective districts, encourage the general public, encourage whomever to participate. Um, this is a framing of as long as they communicate that they are interested, to be able to be identified and selected to receive the additional spots. Again, I acknowledge this was last minute received, very recently received, so you may not have had time to, thank you, Stacy, have looked at it. Stacy, my question for you is, do we have a deadline? I know courses start, I think February, maybe January, but do we have a deadline where we need to get these allocated like by January 1st, or do we have a little bit more time to give time for the commissioners to take a look at the process? And then perhaps at our next meeting, make the determination of how we'll process it?
It's my understanding that we have time. Like, for example, there are classes that go all the way into September. And so there's there's classes in February, I know there's classes in April, I know there's classes over the summer, and I know I was personally looking at the classes that are offered in the Kansas City area, but they're in September. So I have to imagine that if as long as they're allocated before the last class happens, that's the thing. Like, we have them for the duration of the offerings of the classes.
Okay.
It's not my understanding that there's a deadline.
Okay, thank you for that. Well, with that stated, there's not a rush. So I would ask if everyone take time to look at the process. Stacy, as well, since you would be the one handling the responses and give feedback on what makes sense, what may not make sense. We could plan to at our next meeting, looks to try to finalize the process and begin to make the invitations for others to be able to participate. Okay. So moving on to the next matter of old business. Also, what was shared previously was we had a discussion about the funding rubric for the request for sponsorships that's been received. That was presented at a previous meeting. After that meeting, there was some feedback and some recommendations for some changed language and some other things to consider that has since been updated. That was also recently shared, so I'm not sure if you had an opportunity to look at it, but to make it really, really clear and plain, since we had already reviewed the document as a whole and it's just these additions, I did send that email, or either Stacy or I sent it, with the updates that were requested and highlighted in yellow. If the group is comfortable, and it's not a ton of them, if the group is comfortable with going ahead and taking a look at those and see if there's any questions, disagreements on what's being proposed. If not, I'll take a motion to accept the process as provided in the updated document that was shared with commissioners.
This is Commissioner Davis, so moved.
I can share that on the screen in case anyone wanted to, since that one we have had a chance to look at.
Okay. There is a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
There's a second. Trent Davis.
And with that, it's been a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, it's been accepted. It's been approved. So we have our updated funding and rubric decision, or funding decision rubric for sponsorship responses. Now, I will share also, it is noted that we are not a funding entity. But there are times that there are requests made of us, and there are times that we may be able to support, but we're not a funding entity. But in order to ensure there's transparency and a system, a universal system for how we do consider requests that may be made of us, we've established this policy and have now voted on this policy. But it is also noted that we are not a funding agency. We don't raise revenues to be a funder, but sometimes we do have some resources that can assist, and we have done that in the past. Moving on to new business, and we have 10 minutes remaining. We had some time at the top of our meeting from a public comment and time spent with Mr. Lizone Grays discussing Kansas Youth Works. This is an opportunity for us to perhaps make a determination of what engagement can look like. Mr. Gray stated that he did not have a specific ask of us, but really wanted to share information with us on something that he felt was really key and important happening within the state, and a opportune space for us to be involved and engaged in. And based on the lengthy conversation we had and the alignment with the voted on priority area of economic development that we as a commission have decided, it does make sense to me and it does align. But we don't have a specific ask as to what this means about how we may be able to engage or what our next step would be as a commission along this space. So I will look to my fellow commissioners on any thoughts or feedback or ideas on what a next step, well, if there's a next step, I don't want to assume. And then if so, what the next step would be as far as possible engagement with what was presented during our public comment. Commissioner McCormick?
I wouldn't presume to speak for all the commissioners. But my intention was to reach out to Lizone, have a deeper conversation about it, and then come back and share through email where the opportunities are for us to engage. There are a lot of aspects of this that we didn't discuss. So as I said, I was writing about this after the riots in Los Angeles in 1992, and they started one of these programs. And what's important is not just to make sure that people are getting the money, but there were a small group of people who were taking advantage of the situation. There was job training, childcare, and a stipend so that you could buy the kind of clothes that you'd feel comfortable in a work environment. Well, there were people, very few, who were dropping their kids off for the daycare, taking the stipend, and never showing up for the training. So that's how you end up losing opportunities in the future when you're not protecting that money and not just not using it. So I think there will be a lot of ways to get involved, but I wanted to just kind of reconnoiter with Lizone about that.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner McCormick. I saw Commissioner Trent Davis first, and then Commissioner Crystal Davis.
Thank you. This is Commissioner Trent Davis. I'm sitting here thinking of, wow, we could do this in Salina, could do that in Salina, but then I'm sitting there saying, God, where do you begin? I mean, and I would love to have a session on just, the nuts and bolts of how you set something like this up. I think we could all see value in our communities, but just all of a sudden pop up in the corner and say, hey, send me your federal dollars and I'll make sure these people get it. And each community probably has, one or two unique programs that commissioners would like to get initiated. But it just seems like overwhelming task, certainly for one person, but we all have organizations we belong to who could help further the cause.
Thank you, Commissioner Trent Davis. Commissioner Crystal Davis?
Yes, I really, the comment was to mirror honestly what Commissioner Dr. Trent Davis just said. Just in working with my client, it's been massive learning curve. And I understand federal government language, right? So it's like, whoo, this is a lot. So I think, if it's something we would want to do, we definitely, more conversations with Mr. Graves, but then more research, because there's a lot, like Commissioner McCormick just said, there's so many pathways in it. And it's all, under the umbrella of economic development. So what would align with us? What can we do? We've talked about bandwidth on, other things that we do. So I think all those considerations, and just personally, the amount of knowledge I've just soaked in for one client is massive. So I agree that, right? Research, talking to Mr. Graves more, and finding out if any would be a fit for us and the bandwidth we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Crystal Davis. When I was hearing him talk, the education curve, the learning curve is what stood out to me too. And even before knowing, there were already conversations about that Executive Director Neal was having about a lunch and learn or some sort of opportunity to gather to learn more information. That's the direction I initially was going with. Maybe we can do a lunch and learn session to educate and highlight that this is happening and ways to proactively address it throughout the state and things that are happening. And in hearing the feedback from my fellow commissioners, I'm wondering, Commissioner McCormick, you've already said that you were looking to have a deeper dive conversation with him. Could you take lead in moving that forward to learn more? And I don't know, Commissioner Davis, Crystal Davis may be interested in joining you with that. Can you or the two of you take lead and also Stacy said she was having some additional conversations too.
Yeah.
But for commissioner space, could you take lead in determining next steps? Okay. Okay, so Commissioner Mark McCormick and Commissioner Crystal Davis will facilitate next steps related to what Mr. Graves presented to us today. And again, thank you to Mr. Graves for reaching out and lifting this to our attention for an opportunity for us to engage throughout the state. Okay, announcements. Executive Director Neal, I'll turn it over to you. We see lips moving, hear nothing. Hear absolutely nothing this time. So for the sake of time, I'll highlight updates and Stacey will put in the chat anything specific beyond what's on the paper. She has included the link to the travel policy. Again, that's going to be something to be mindful of as what I realized we did not put on the agenda this time, but we are to be thinking about as our spring series of sessions within each of our districts. So there may be some traveling that's going to be happening related to that, as well as MLK. Okay, this is a KAAC event, the Martin Luther King Jr. event that is happening. There is a date for that as well. Continue recommend requests for personal stories with the Kansas 250 site. Literally, Stacey, there's nothing. Words are coming. We see your lips moving. We hear nothing this time, not even the robotic voice. But I don't read sign language. We know she's fluent. Okay, so continue to go through the announcements. Stacey will email us with anything that I miss. C is the MLK ceremonial march and proclamation. C, and so I'm going to read what's on the paper and we're going to move on because we have 2 minutes. Thursday the 15th, I am asking, and we are asking, this is a Kansas African American Affairs Commission event. If you are available to be present, I am asking and encouraging all commissioners to be present. I will be driving up from, there's information in the chat. I will look at the chat. I will be driving up from Wichita to be present. I've asked Executive Director Neal for the commissioners to give us roles to be involved and engaged and a part. Again, I'm encouraging everyone to be present. Stacey will give us additional details on that via email. Black Legislative Day at the Capitol is on the 9th. We are working through that. Again, it's the ask and expectation that we are all present and engaged. In the chat, Stacey says on the agenda, there's a change of time. MLK Day is at 1 and not 11:30 a.m. I have made her feel a lot better. So based on the travel and the reimbursement policy, Commissioner Davis has asked Crystal Davis, does it mean we need to put in our travel by January 1st? Our executive director will let us know. She's nodding her head yes, ASAP. So if you're planning, anticipating travel, please let that be known by the 1st, and that would be a part of our minutes and instructions post-meeting from today. with that, I want to say thank you for the additional time. I also want to say I am going to work on better managing our time to ensure that we can maintain the 60 minutes that we have allocated each month. 'Cause we appreciate your time. I would be respectful of your time. So I will work better at managing that time during our meetings. Are there any questions or anything for the good of the body before I request a motion for adjournment? Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And at the 15-minute window that I asked, we are now adjourned.
So
Thank you all.
Stacy, I think this is what you were trying to do. COOL.
Cool.
Okay, with that, take care, everyone.
Thank you.